Everyone wants a promotional video for something. That could be a new service, a new app, a new website, a new course, a new product. Absolutely anything and everything seems to require a video these days, which is fantastic news for people like me who create video for a living. I personally am a videographer, filmmaker, animator, YouTuber, and I find myself doing a lot of work for corporate companies these days, in particular promotional videos, which is what we're talking about today. I really wanted to go through the process that I take for creating a promotional marketing business video, so let's jump into it. Number one, create a shooting script and a storyboard. If you are creating a marketing or promotional video, before you even start to think about getting your camera equipment ready and filming, I highly recommend putting together a shooting script and a storyboard. Storyboarding helps you figure out exactly what shots you need before you start filming, and a shooting script is like a screenplay for your video. Filmmaking is all about storytelling, and having your client story in your mind with a storyboard can really help assist on your filming day. It also helps you and your client visualize what the end product is going to look like. You don't have to be an artist to draw your storyboard. It all depends on the budget of the project. Sometimes a few rough sketches or even stick figures will do. If the budget is there, you can hire a storyboard artist from places like Fiverr. Just make sure you know what shots you need before you start filming, and what the direction and movement of your camera is going to be. The more time you spend actually planning your video, the less time you will waste on the day trying to figure things out, and the less likely you are to find yourself missing footage later on. Number two, prepare the talent. Make sure that you prepare your talent for your marketing or promotional videos. In the same way that you would get actors to read and try to memorize their lines for a film, you also want to prepare any talent that you're using for your promotional videos. So for example, if you're going to be interviewing people, make sure that you get a copy of the questions that will be asked out to them before, so that they can prepare. If you're going to be using actors, whether they're professional or not, get them a script or character role or something that they can read through to help prepare them. Making sure you know what your presenters, actors, and interview subjects know what's expected of them beforehand will help to minimize mistakes or waste time on the day of the shoot. Number three, know what B-roll footage you need. B-roll is essentially any footage that isn't part of your primary shot. If you're filming a promotional video for a new website or a new app, your B-roll may include shots of people using the website or the app on a phone. You also need to think about establishing shots. How is the video going to start and how is it going to end? With my promotional videos, I often get wide establishing shots outside to help set the location, especially for event promo videos. I also film a lot of detailed shots that I will need to push the story along. Remember that there's no such thing as too much B-roll. Shoot absolutely everything that you can, and also consider getting different types of shot for the same thing. So maybe a pull focus shot, a slider shot, a gimbal shot, different close-up shots. Really mix it up. Also consider shooting at higher frame rates like 60 frames per second to get slow motion if you need that for your B-roll. I generally shoot everything at 30 FPS for my main content like presentations, interviews, and I will use 60 FPS for B-roll. It can be really fiddly and annoying to keep changing your video settings, but this will give you much more footage to play with in post-production. When shooting your corporate marketing videos, depending on the job and the budget available, you might want to consider shooting with 2 or more cameras. This is particularly useful when shooting interviews. When the interviewee makes a mistake, you can edit it out and switch to the second camera view in post-production, which makes things seem seamless. Also, when shooting a presentation, you can use your second camera to catch audience reactions, and also, God forbid, if one of your cameras fails, you will have a backup. When shooting interviews with 2 cameras, set one of your cameras up as a head and shoulder shot and the second camera as a wider shot. You will also want to ensure that you follow the 30-degree rule, where your cameras are at least a 30-degree angle apart so that you can avoid jump cuts in your edit. Number 4, use composition rules. Always think about composition when you are filming your marketing promotional videos. Composition, composition, composition. And that means you need to think about how you frame or stage your shots. And in particular, an important rule of composition is the rule of thirds. So essentially, you want to imagine that your shot is divided into 9 equal sectors by 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines with 4 interconnecting points. The rule of thirds stipulates that your shot should be composed so that your subject of interest is on one of the lines or on one of the interconnecting points. This makes it easier for the viewer's eye to read, and it makes for a much more aesthetically pleasing shot overall. Many cameras today enable you to overlay a grid onto your viewfinder, making it easier to compose your shot before and during filming. Number 5, picture settings and white balance. You'll probably have noticed that many corporate videos have a certain look. Oftentimes the picture is quite light and airy, They have more of a neutral style, and they are definitely less contrasted or saturated than other types of video like movies as an example. This is because very low contrast images feel lighter and more relaxed, while higher contrast images feel much more sinister and suspenseful. So choosing the right picture settings on your camera will definitely help set the tone and the message of your corporate marketing video. Two things to help you get your picture looking right are through correctly setting your white balance and choosing a log or neutral picture setting. First of all, the white balance. Many cameras have an auto white balance feature, but I strongly recommend learning how to set it manually. This avoids relying on your camera to achieve a correctly balanced shot. As an example, setting the white balance on a Canon camera is as simple as shooting a white card in the light of the area that you'll be filming in, selecting custom white in the menu, and choosing that picture as the reference as the white balance. I personally shoot in C-Log or will use a neutral picture setting, and on Canon cameras you can also create custom picture settings to film with. And this is a great place to mention that if you haven't done so already, go and add yourself to the Kai Creative Facebook and Instagram accounts to stay up to date with all of our creative happenings. Number 6, lighting. One thing to consider if you are shooting a marketing or promotional corporate video is to try and visit the filming location before the shoot day. This will definitely give you an idea of what the available light will be like and best help you to plan your shots, as well as help you decide what additional lighting you might have to bring with you. If you can't arrange a recce, then jump onto the website of the location and use any pictures available to try and gauge the feel of the light that will be there, or if you're in contact with an event manager or someone running the project, ask them to take some pictures of the venue on their phone and send them over to you. When filming your marketing videos, try to avoid things that are going to blow out your shots, like open windows and big screens with projectors on them. If you're filming interviews, try to evenly light any subjects that you have by facing them towards bright windows, lighting them up with the natural light available, or control the light yourself by using your own equipment. Sometimes a shot might look really good on that small LCD screen on your camera, but after you watch it back on a bigger screen, you might realize that it's too overly exposed. So ensure that you use things like zebra lines and false color scopes to help guide you, and use your exposure meter as much as possible to correct your exposure. And if anything, make sure you underexpose as opposed to overexpose your shots. That's because it's easier to brighten an underexposed shot than it is to fix overly exposed, blown out shots in post-production. And while it is possible to correct image brightness and contrast in post-production, it's much better to get the shot right on the day and save yourself some time as well as your sanity. When filming marketing or promotional content, particularly for events, you might find yourself filming in dark hotel rooms or in places with dull orange lighting. Make sure that you bring some of your own lights and decent lenses with fast apertures to help you get good footage. If you're filming any of your content outside, then you will definitely want to consider investing in ND filters. ND filters are like sunglasses, but for your lenses. They essentially help you to open up your aperture without blowing out your highlights so that you can retain your dreamy, blurry backgrounds and focus on your subject of interest in brighter conditions. They come in all shapes and sizes, and my favorite ND filters are the Freewell magnetic VNDs, which you can attach and remove with ease. Number 7, check the acoustics of your filming location. When filming your marketing videos, make sure you check the acoustics of the location in which you're shooting. Lots of hard walls are going to create echoes. Crowded areas will create a buzz of sound that will be almost impossible to remove in post-production. Filming outside will come with its own acoustic challenges when it comes to noise from traffic or nature. A recce of the location beforehand will help you assess what action you need to take. It really depends on what you need for your promotional video in terms of sound. If you're filming interviews to cut into your promotional video content, then find a quiet place to shoot these. Use lapel mics and ensure that you set the sound levels to the individual voice levels of each person talking to avoid peaking on your recordings. What I like to do is set up the mic on the speaker or talent, have them speak at the level at which they will talk or respond to the questions, and then set the levels to around -12 to -6 dB. And that generally helps me avoid clipping in my sound levels. If you're going to be outside and you need to have crystal clear audio from someone talking and you have the budget, then I would consider getting a separate sound professional boom operator to work on your project and let them worry about getting you great sound. Number 8, post-production. So we've covered the basics for shooting on the day. Now let's run through the editing process. Everyone has their way of editing that they are comfortable with, and I'll be briefly outlining my process of putting a promotional piece together. So one question I get asked a lot is, what video editing software should I use? Well, personally, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. It's far from perfect, but I find that it has everything that I need for my corporate jobs, especially with the option of dynamic linking, which enables you to seamlessly move between Premiere Pro and other Adobe programs such as After Effects and Illustrator, making it a powerful tool for your video business. 9. Animated assets. As we've just mentioned Adobe After Effects, this might be a good junction to mention animated assets. You don't have to be an animation wizard to create simple, clean motion graphics, and having your client's logo animate in or a lower thirds animation can really make a massive difference to the quality of your production rather than using a simple static logo or lower thirds. Some of the marketing videos that I create are purely animated with a voiceover, and what I find is that more and more clients want animated videos, and this is because even though animation can cost a little bit more money initially to produce than simply filming and editing, they can work out a lot cheaper than booking in whole filming days away, as well as hiring out kit, crew, actors and props. It's much cheaper and simpler to animate a 2D rocket going into space than having to film a real rocket going into space. So it might be worth considering if getting involved in animation and After Effects is worth doing for your clients and also help you add more value into your productions. Nowadays, there are a lot of stock video options available. Some of them are even free to use, like Pexels.com. Other sites such as Motion Array and Envato Elements sell After Effects templates that you can modify, which can save you tons of time. Number 10, separate and clean up the footage. So let's move on to the editing. One thing that I like to do right after filming a corporate promo or marketing video before editing any of my content is to tidy up all of the footage. So first, I separate the B-roll from the main footage. You can do this by organizing them into different folders. Your main footage is going to be things like presentations, seminars, panels, sessions, interviews, and all audio files. I will then create separate folders for the B-roll. I can then import these folders directly into my editing software, which is Premiere Pro, and then everything is neat and tidy and ready to go. Once I've imported all of my footage, the first thing I will do is sound sync all of the files for the main parts. So the presentation, the interviews, the panel sessions, etc., where I generally record sound separately. I sync these up with a piece of software called Pluralize, which at the press of a button can sync hours of content in a matter of minutes, literally saving you hours of work trying to sound sync things manually. So if you do find yourself regularly filming long presentations, interviews, or vox pops, then Pluralize is definitely a good investment. After this, I will work through the footage, cutting out all the parts that have camera movement, things like zooming and panning, and save those files to use later in the main video. Next, I will continue onto the B-roll by laying all of these clips into one timeline, and I will go through cleaning them up and clearing out all the dud bits and deleting any retakes. So the first part of the editing process is really just cleaning things up, syncing sound, and preparing your workspace for the real creative building process. Number 11, music. If you listen carefully to most promotional videos, you will hear a jingle or some sort of background music of some description. When creating your marketing videos, be mindful of what music you decide to use. For example, you probably wouldn't expect to hear hardcore rock music in a promotional video for a new line of baby clothes. Make sure your music fits your project. Sometimes music is the main focus of the video and the edit is created around the beat. A lot of typography videos use fast, upbeat drum music to set the pace of their content. If you're involved in this type of promo video, make sure that the script is solid, as making changes later on can be an absolute nightmare. When it comes to creating content for clients, pay close attention to the licensing agreements of the music that you plan to use. Unless you use royalty-free music or compose your own, most music is subject to stringent copyright restrictions that could cause you some serious issues when trying to upload the content. There are many sites that offer royalty-free background music and sound effects. I personally use Epidemic Sounds, The Music Bed, Audio, and Artlist for the music in my corporate video productions. Artlist in particular offers a great license that covers all of your third-party client content. Number 12, time to build. Now it's time to start actually putting the rough cut of your marketing video together. Keep things in folders and name everything appropriately. I often refer to a video editor crafting a video to be like a builder who is building a house. First, you start with a foundation, you put up some supports like pillars or walls, and then you add your doors and windows, and then finally you are ready and free to decorate. And that's how I usually approach my marketing corporate videos. First of all, I put the music layer or music layers down down, and these act as my foundation. Everything else will be built on top of the music. Then I find some upbuilding, emotive, inspiring snippets from people presenting or from interviews or vox pops. I will then place these on top of the music layers at different parts of the video, and these act as pillars or walls for the video. They really help to build the story. Then I find my best establishing shots, maybe of the venue or of the product, whatever the promo video is for. I find decent establishing shots and I will place these as opening and closing scenes for the video, and these act as my doors and my windows for my promo. And finally, when all of that is done, I will go through the very best cuts of the B-roll and I will weave these into the video in line with the music and narration parts, and this helps to fill in the gaps and really tell the story. And these act as the final decorations to the house or to the video. Of course, afterwards you might want to change things around, maybe move speeches or narration to different times, or perhaps you want to slowly reveal the product or slowly build anticipation for something. But whatever you do, make sure you keep that storytelling element. And that's my breakdown for creating a marketing promotional corporate video in 2022. So do you have any additional tips or tricks that you use? Let me know down in the comment section below. I really hope that you found today's video useful. If you did, don't forget to give us a like. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell for notifications. We also have a bunch of filmmaking tips, tricks, resources, and classes on our website, kaicreative.co.uk, so you might want to go and check that out too. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. All that I've got left to say is stay creative, stay safe, imagine, implement, and inspire, and I will see you next time on Kai Creative.